Hey everyone, Randy here from Dark Child Audio. This is going to be a little bit different as far as audios go, but I posted a picture on the community tab the other day of the chocolate chip banana drop cookies that I made, and I had somebody request that I share the recipe, so I'm going to share the recipe with you. To start off with, we're going to make sure you gather all of your ingredients. And here are those ingredients that you need. These are all going to be in standard, quote-unquote, American measurements, not metric. So if you are in a country that does metric and you want to make these, you will have to make some adjustments. So, to start with, you will need 2 1/4 cups of sifted flour. If you can't sift it, just putting it in a bowl and stirring it with a whisk is usually sufficient enough to make it fluffy so you don't have clumps in your flour. 2 teaspoons of baking powder, 1/4 teaspoon baking soda, 3/4 teaspoon salt, 2/3 of a cup of shortening or butter, I prefer butter, 1 cup of granulated sugar, 2 eggs, 1 teaspoon vanilla extract, and 1 cup of mashed ripe bananas, which is approximately 2 to 3 bananas, depending on how big they are. And this is the little extra bit that really makes these cookies amazing. You're going to want to mix up a small portion of cinnamon and granulated sugar. You're going to be sprinkling this on the cookies when you put them on the pan before you cook them at the end. And by a small portion, I mean maybe a tablespoon total of everything combined, so not a whole lot. Prep your pans. You're going to preheat your oven to 400 degrees Fahrenheit. Now for the instructions. To start off, you are going to combine your dry ingredients, most of them, and set them aside. So you will sift your flour, your baking powder, your baking soda, and your salt all together and keep that in a separate bowl off to the side. Next, you're going to get your butter and your sugar, and you're going to beat the butter first so it's all fluffy. Then add the sugar in, mix to combine. Stir in the vanilla. After stirring in the vanilla, you are going to add your 2 eggs, beating after each one to combine everything. Now you are going to be alternating your dry mixture with your bananas, adding them into what you already have in your primary mixing bowl. So since you're starting off with something wet, I like to add a bit of the flour. Make sure that if you are trying to add a fair portion of it, you make a well in the middle, kind of a hole in the middle of your wet ingredients to add your flour to, or you're going to have a flour cloud explode in your kitchen. So combine that until it's all mixed together, add in a portion of your banana mixture, mix to combine, add in the dry ingredients, mix to combine, add in the bananas, mix to combine, and keep going back and forth until everything is all together and it is a smooth dough. Now, this is not going to be super thick like a regular chocolate chip cookie dough because the texture of these cookies is going to come out more cake-like and less crunchy and dense like a normal cookie. So now that it is all mixed together, you're going to add in your chocolate chips, or if you wanted to add some other flavor and get really wild with it, I suppose you could. But usually one of these smaller bags of chips that has about 2 cups is sufficient. and you're going to want to stir those in, fold them in by hand, because if you try to do it with your mixer, unless you have a KitchenAid mixer, you're going to burn out your motor, and that's no fun for anybody involved. So get your chocolate chips mixed in, and you're going to put your cookies on your cookie sheet. I prefer to use a cookie scoop, but if you don't have one, you're going to be making about 1.5 tablespoons per cookie. And you're going to want to put them with a little bit of space in between on the pan as they do spread. On a normal size cookie sheet, I usually do maybe 12 to 15 cookies per sheet. Now that you've got the cookies on the pan, you are going to take the cinnamon and sugar mixture that you made earlier, and like all the fancy cooking shows say, make sure you season high, which means hold it high up above, probably about 8 to 10 inches up above the pan, so you don't get everything dropping down into one section. That way everything has an even light dusting of cinnamon and sugar on top of the cookie. Once your oven is preheated and you've got your cookies on your pans, you are going to put them in the oven for 8 to 10 minutes. I usually do 8 and then check, just because you want your cookies to have risen slightly and the outer edge should be just barely brown. This is supposed to be a soft cookie. It's not supposed to be a crunchy cookie. If it's crunchy, you're gonna want to watch your time more for the next batch. So that is pretty much it. It makes about 2.5 to 3 dozen cookies, and that is the recipe for those banana chocolate chip drop cookies. If you make them and enjoy them, be sure to drop a comment below and let me know what you think of them. It's something that is sort of like a taste of my childhood for me. I know everybody always says, oh, just make banana bread with your leftover bananas, but in my house it was always these cookies, which were from a recipe book that my mother got from her mother, my grandmother, who I unfortunately never got to meet. She passed before I was born. So I hope you all have an awesome day, and I hope that you enjoy your cookies. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.